time to press the button. I'd just like to welcome everyone to this morning's or this evening's call, depending on where you're based. Your time's valuable, and we appreciate you taking the time to spend half an hour with us. We'll keep it brief, and just out of a matter of courtesy to our guest from the States, if you could all just mute out to remove any background noise. I'd just like to hand over to Dave. He'll do an intro and we will roll from there. So thanks, Dave.
Good on you. Thanks, Dan. Well, the purpose of the call today is really to introduce Bobby Smith, who's the VP of Powur, to everybody. It's literally a half an hour meeting today. Bobby's going to take you through a bit of process, who he is, some background in terms of where Powur is and where we're going to launch in Australia. And then at the end of it, we'll hand across to Lawrence. And basically what we'd like to do is get anybody who's on the call to come back and communicate with the person who's brought them on the call. And we can then start to move towards onboarding you as well. So just to give you a bit of background about Bobby, Bobby's owned a medical software company, then got involved in direct sales part-time basis and became one of the top producers in the world with over 50,000 clients in 11 countries. Went on to start and run a national non-profit cancer foundation for 8 years, and then took on the VP of Powur in the last 2 or 3 years. So without further ado, I'd love to hand across to Bobby Smith from Powur. So thank you very much, Bobby, for your time.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. I appreciate it. Good morning, I guess, to all of you. It's Friday evening here on the East Coast of the United States. And I'm honored to be on and honored to be with this gentleman, all these gentlemen who have seen the vision of our company, spent their money, traveled abroad to come learn about us and see what we're doing. This is a very simple discussion, ladies and gentlemen. As a businessman, as an entrepreneur and a socially conscious entrepreneur, I look for moments in time when things make sense, when there's dialogue. I look for things that are on the mind and the conscience of the people of the world. Having a cleaner air to breathe for our children and our grandchildren. The fact that we've lost 1/3 of the Great Barrier Reef to challenges in the ocean that will never come back. I wanted to be an oceanographer. The fact that because of the United States' lack of attention to the Paris Climate Treaty, all that did was reinforce a conversation that is resonating all over the world. And almost everyone with any conscience, it's not a debate about climate change. It's not whether climate change is man-made or not. The conversation is about cleaner air to breathe, that hundreds of thousands of people should not be dying every year because of air pollution, and that our young men and women should not be dying on sands, on beaches, or ocean, or in places around the world fighting for a commodity that we no longer need, called oil. So the conversation is about, there's billions of people right now, today, around the world, protesting, talking about, coming out, emailing online, talking about a better, safer, cleaner environment. Does anybody on this event here today have a challenge with that conversation? Does anybody think does anybody not think that that's an important conversation for the planet or for our children or our grandchildren? And we all know that it is. So if you look at that, then you look at, well, what's one of the best ways to move the world, forward in renewable energy? And Australia is a country that is some degree at the forefront of that, the transition to solar and renewable energy. So solar is happening in Australia, and it's happening now. And in many parts of the United States and around the world, solar has not even started yet. And we're going to talk to you about a business that is in Australia, but can take you around the world. So the viewpoint of the entire world is important and germane to this conversation. Less than 2% of the United States has transitioned to solar energy, while over 20% in most parts of Australia have. Which means the conversation about solar in Australia is right there. It's present. People are into it. They're just starting to get there in the United States. You all are way ahead of us in many ways. So we know that solar is happening. It doubled last year. It's going to triple this year. Most experts agree that it's 8 doublings away from really the vast part of the world being paneled for solar. And solar energy makes sense. The value proposition for solar is saving money, typically putting no money out of pocket, locking in rates against rising electric costs. Electric costs are rising all over the world, and they're not going to go down anytime soon. So transitioning to solar is a smart thing to do. I got solar on my house. I spent nothing. It cost me, I have an $80,000 system on my home. It cost me nothing. You know what my gas and electric bill was? Do I have it here? My wife has it. My gas and electric bill this month from my electric provider was $7. Last year before I got solar, it was $500. It was $7. Now, I'm still paying money for clean energy, but I'm paying much less money for clean energy. So the value proposition for solar is there. Anybody who can go solar should go solar to save money, to increase the value of their home, to lock in their rates against future electricity rates, and to do the right thing for the planet. What solar is missing is a new, modern, fresh, cool, hip approach. All you guys with the beanies on should dig that, right? It's a cooler, hipper, it's a cooler, hipper approach to solar. The reason that solar hasn't fully transitioned is because the solar companies, for the most part, have been trying to sell solar in kiosks in malls, in stores, on telephone, telemarketers, door knockers, and it just doesn't work. But what we have seen work is a new, cooler, hipper way of doing business. You know, there was a kid named Mark Zuckerberg who had a vision about how the world was going to communicate. He invited 5 guys to his dorm room. 2 guys showed up, they're worth $50 billion. 2 guys didn't show up, they're going to be crying in their cornflakes the rest of their lives because they wanted to do something else that night. No one thought that the whole world would shift the way they communicated because of an application on a phone. And then this company called Uber came along. Again, 3 broke college kids who couldn't afford a hotel room. Mark Cuban, we'll talk about, that was Airbnb. 3 broke college kids come up with an idea called Airbnb because they couldn't afford a hotel room. And the experts thought they were crazy. You got Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton. How are they going to impact the hotel industry? Well, look what happened. Valued at, I don't know, $65 billion. Airbnb moves more hotel rooms than any chain in the world. Some people didn't believe it would work because it was just a cool app on a phone. They don't own any hotel rooms. Airbnb introduces a consumer that wants a different experience than Holiday Inn and saves some money to an online application to an entrepreneur that wants to make money. And then again, Uber came along. Mark Cuban's a pretty bright guy. If you follow Mark Cuban in Australia, Mark Cuban's one of the biggest, most successful billionaires in the world. And Mark Cuban didn't even buy into Uber. He thought they'd never get past the taxi cab industry. Uber has changed the entire transportation industry in a couple of years. And now you've got Lyft and you've got other companies. So this application, this platform on a phone or a laptop or whatever device you're using has proven to shift the biggest industries in the world: communication, transportation, and hospitality. Now the entrepreneur has to spend money. You want to be an Uber, you got to fill your gas tank up, change your oil, rotate your tires, have insurance. You want to be an Airbnb, you got to have insurance, you got to fix your house up, you got to get good reviews. No one could have seen the future when these online applications were born. So our company Powur got involved in solar. We partnered with a guy named Elon Musk. You ever heard of Elon Musk? Elon's a pretty bright guy, right? Solar City's a pretty bright company. Tesla is a pretty big name. We signed a contract with them, exclusive. So we have a network of entrepreneurs that are going to their friends and their neighbors and their family and introducing them to solar. And we were sending our referrals to Solar City, the biggest solar company in the world. We gave them over 14,000 referrals, tens of millions of dollars in contract. But we realized there was a better way. Solar City couldn't get the job done. Solar City lost $300 million last year and probably would have gone broke if Tesla didn't buy them out. So we came up with a better idea. How many of you know Richard Branson? I believe you know him on that side of the pond, right? Pretty bright guy. Richard Branson and Mark Cuban wrote an article about no billion-dollar company hits the market right the first time. They hit the market, like us with Solar City. They take a step back. They measure the data. They raise millions of dollars in capital, which we did. And you come back and you hit the market in a better way. So instead of us being a company that was sending leads to the biggest solar company in the world, we built an Uber platform for solar and renewable energy, and we signed contracts with the vast majority of the best local and regional solar providers in the world, so that now our agents, you, with no training, no experience, part-time basis, can be at your mate's house or at the pub having a pint. How am I doing, right? I'm trying to be Australian here. You're at the pub, you're having no chance? Hey, man, you're at the pub, you're having a pint, you're watching a soccer match, right? And you say to your friend, would you like, he's really shaking his head, and a football match, and you say to your friend, would you like a proposal for no money down solar? You grab a copy of their electric bill, you punch in their zip code on our platform, and you see who the best providers are in that market. You grab their electric bill and you dial them into the solar provider, and then you let them, the experts, take it from there. So our little startup company, Powur, our board of directors has raised billions in venture capital. We have raised millions of dollars. My partner put up $1 million in cash himself. A few weeks ago, we did a crowdfund. We raised money online. How many of you are familiar with raising money online? We had the fastest crowdfund to $1 million in the history of the world. So if you think, hey, I don't know if these guys know what they're doing, or I don't know if people dig what they're doing, or I don't know if this, forget about it. The fastest crowdfund in the history of the world. 1.2 million in 3 weeks. The world record was 64 days. Our platform is now built. So we created the Uber of solar, the Airbnb of solar and renewable energy. You go to a platform, and why does this work? What's the perfect harmony here? The solar companies love us because we're bringing them warm, motivated customers, not an online advertisement. The consumer gets the best deal, and you, the entrepreneur, can make a great deal of money. Everybody wins: the customer, the solar provider, and you. That's the music. But it's bigger than that, because it's not just solar. The big thing is the battery in your garage. How many of you heard about that? We're already shipping batteries in Hawaii. So you drive solar on the roof in your home, you store it in your solar in your garage, and you're off the grid. But it's bigger than that. I have to learn more about the Australian market. Forgive me. I'm going to dive into your market very soon. So I'm giving you some general information. And I think you got on a little bit late, Brian. This conversation is not about Australia. It's about the world. Because you're going to have friends in Australia who know someone in New York City, who's got a friend in South Florida, who's got a college roommate in California. So you have to look at this from a broader perspective, not just Australia, but the whole world. Here's what's happening on the West Coast of the United States. People are pulling up on their electric car onto their solar-powered driveway. They are walking up their solar-powered front walkway, up their solar-powered steps, into their home. They're flipping on their solar-powered lighting. They're turning on their solar-powered ceiling fan. They're getting a cup of coffee through their solar-powered water heater. They're taking a dip in their pool that is solar-powered, the heating, run by pool reduction pumps that are saving their money. And they're running all of this from the palm of their hand, from their phone. This is just the beginning. I'm in negotiation with solar-powered air conditioning company. They're bringing the biggest so the best air conditioner to the market with a backup generator. Do you ever wonder why you've got a metal box in 100-degree heat outside your house to cool your home? Right? Why don't we put a panel on that thing? Solar-powered patios, right? This is the future. Does anybody on here have a doubt that this is where the world's going? Because if you do, you're wrong. The world is shifting to renewable energy, and there's no stopping it. The world never believed. They talked about that I've been fortunate in my business career. I've been fortunate. I got in front of cell phones. How many of you are old enough to remember when cell phones were $2,500 and they were in a briefcase? Right? I got Brian now. Cheers, mate. Right? No one thought that that cell phones would adapt. All the smart guys said, nah, it's never going to work. Nobody's going to use them. It's not going to work. I decided to get involved, and I did well. Then this other crazy thing was born. Remember, it was called the internet. How many of you remember dial-up? $25 a month, the worst noise in the history of mankind. And you couldn't do anything. You could barely send an email. Most people said, the experts said, that the internet would never adapt. It was a college joke. I got in front of the internet, did well. It's the same thing here. If you missed out on the internet, if you missed out on cell phones, you're going to have to ask yourself, do you want to miss out on renewable energy? You're going to have to ask yourself a question. If Mark Zuckerberg invited you to his dorm room, what would you have done? Would you have shown up? If the guys that started Airbnb told you about what their idea, would you have bought in? Or would you thought that's a crazy idea? If the guys that started Uber, like Mark Cuban, would you have passed? Or would you have been able to see the vision of the future? The vision of the future of solar and renewable energy is an online platform like Uber and Airbnb. We did $1 million in installations last month alone from our entrepreneurs going to their friend's house, grabbing their electric bill, dialing them into a solar provider, and let the solar provider do what they do. If you don't want to sell anything, we're not selling anything. We're not shipping anything. We're not trying to sell our neighbors a bunch of overpriced skin cream. We're not trying to monthly auto ship them some product. The consumer gets the best deal on the best product from the best providers and the best manufactured solar. It just makes sense. This is the world we live in. Around the United States and around the world, department stores are closing up. Macy's and Nordstrom's and JCPenney's and Sears and all these big companies around the United States. What's working? Amazon and Etsy and online platforms. That is the future of the world. And we happen to be in front of it. We're the only company in the world doing what we're doing. And guess what? No one can catch us because we already have contracts with the vast majority of the best local solar providers in the United States and now in Puerto Rico. I opened up Puerto Rico 3 weeks ago. We've done almost, I think, $400,000 in contracts. Our leading market in the world right now is the tiny island of Puerto Rico. And they need an opportunity. They're $70 billion in debt, and their electric rates are going through the roof. Folks, to be in our company, it's a few $100. It's less than $500. With that, you get a website, you get training, you get our proprietary software platform, which is valued in and of itself of over $1 million. There's no magic here. Nobody's getting rich tomorrow. There's no fast money. There's an 80-20 rule here. No one's preaching any get rich quick. Do we have people earning 6 figures in 3-4 months? Yes. Do we have people earning 6 figures and multiple 6 figures on a part-time basis? Absolutely. Your opportunity is you can get in front of this in Australia. My bucket list is to come to Australia, so I'm dying to come to Australia. I'm a beach bum at heart. So I can't wait to get there. I've always loved your country from afar. I've always admired its beauty and its culture. Our president is going to be there in about 5 months. So basically, there's a 4 or 5 month countdown right now for entrepreneurs to position themselves for the Uber, the Airbnb of solar and renewable energy for Australia. It's that simple. If this is not for you, it's cool. I get it. Traffic awaits everyone tomorrow morning, Monday morning. If it's not for you, it's cool. We're not trying to convince anybody. But if you can see the future, we will be a $1 billion company. We will ring the bell on the NASDAQ. Our management team has done this before. Again, our board has raised billions in venture capital for those of you that came on late. How many chances in life do you get a chance to do something special? Again, I ran a cancer foundation for 8 years. How many chances do we get to do something special and make a great deal of money? Rarely those two are combined. It's one or the other, right? So if you want to have some fun, if you want to travel the beaches of the world, if you want to work with who you want, where you want, when you want, if you want to be a part of something special, work with extraordinary people like the gentleman who put this on today, Lawrence, and Dave, and Daniel, and all the other leaders that are on this Zoom here tonight. This is just the beginning. We're going to start doing these events every week. We're going to start doing some local hangouts in some pubs and some restaurants and some country clubs. We're going to start attracting the leading entrepreneurs in Australia. I promise you, if every minute you wait, here's what's going to happen. I promise you. Everybody you know is going to hear about this. They're going to hear about this in church. They're going to hear about this on the beach. They're going to hear about this at the rugby match. They're going to hear about this at their office place. They're going to hear about the Uber and the Airbnb of renewable energy that's coming to Australia. What could change your life is whether they hear it from you or whether they hear it from someone else. No one in Australia knows about what we're doing. The people that are in this business in Australia are basically on this event, on this screen here tonight. And there's some people who couldn't make it. We're going to do some events during the weekday, whether Saturday morning works for you or not. We'll figure all that out. There's a lot to be figured out. There's a lot to be learned. When you launch a country, there's a lot to be learned. But look, if you understand the direct sales industry, the $200 billion a year direct sales industry, it is not uncommon for the visionaries that get involved early in companies to make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, even $1 million a month. People laugh at Amway. Their top reps make $1 million a month. And that's not going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. We got to go to work. We're looking for business people. We're looking for entrepreneurs. We're looking for socially conscious entrepreneurs. We're a public benefit corporation. This idea was born in the rainforest on a banana leaf. That's how this was born. Our CEO had a vision of a better world. Our president, who's the head of the Green Chamber of Commerce in San Diego, convinced our CEO, who just had a baby girl, to go to the rainforest to see the devastation there. And laying on a banana leaf, he had a vision. And that's what Southern California people do. They have visions. He had a vision of a cleaner world, of a better world for his daughter and his grandchildren. So again, he put up $1 million of his own money. He'd earned millions in his 20s. He threw his Tesla into the pot. We began to raise millions of dollars. We began to launch this. We began to figure it out. We've been doing this for almost 3 years. We've measured tens of thousands of pieces of data. We're not trying to convince anybody. We know exactly who we are. We know exactly what we're doing, and we know exactly where we're going. It is just a question of who wants to join us on this epic adventure. We're going to have a blast. We're going to surf the waves of Australia. We're going to hit some tennis balls. We're going to have some pints, right? We're going to do what we do. And we're going to have a blast, and we're going to change the world. And, people who say they're going to change the world, some people think they're crazy. But if you look at through history, of the people who did change the world, everybody thought they were crazy. What we're doing is working. $1 million in contracts last month. Installations, not contracts. We're doubling our revenue. We are growing around the world. We have 4,000 people that have joined our company because they believe in what we're doing. And that's just the beginning. Soon we'll be bringing on 4,000 people a month. So I don't want to take too much of your time because we value your time. And this is not a business that takes that much time. It's fun. It's cool. You can do it from your phone. You can do it on the way home from work, on the way to work, at the gym, wherever you do, at the beach. That's what I do. So I'm honored to be on here tonight. I hope you see this the way we see this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see this, then when we're done, you need to take a couple minutes and get on the phone with the people that brought you on here. Get your questions answered, enroll in our company, and we're going to lay out We have a 10-year strategy, but we're going to give you exactly the 5-month strategy towards the launch of Australia and other markets around the world. We're launching Canada as we speak. We just launched Puerto Rico, and we're getting hit by countries and solar providers all over the world because they want to be a part of what we're doing. And if you think about it, folks, at the end of the day, it's just plain logic. The greatest indicator of the future is the past. There's a great German philosopher, in closing, that once said, change is violently opposed. It is then vehemently denied. And then at some point, it is self-evident. People who build wealth, entrepreneurs, get involved in opportunities before it becomes self-evident, when people still don't get it. That's the difference between entrepreneurs and people who have jobs. Entrepreneurs see things, get involved, take a chance before it makes sense to the rest of the world. That's the difference between a job and freedom. So again, I'm honored to be here. I can't wait to get to Australia. We're locking down the president of our company coming to Australia, I believe in November, and we've got a lot of work to do over the next 3-4 months. You can start to build a business now that will position you for 6 figures by the end of the year on a part-time basis. Okay? It's not going to be easy. There's a lot of work to do. There'll be a lot of challenges along the way, but we've been doing this throughout the United States and in other countries, and we know exactly what we need to do in Australia. We just need the right entrepreneurs. We need people like you who have a vision, a passion for a better world, and you're willing to roll up your sleeves and go to work for something you believe in. So with that, I'll turn it over to our host today. I hope to meet all of you very soon. I hope to get to know you and work with you and hopefully help Australia continue to transition to renewable energy. So from my executive team and all of us to all of you, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be here tonight. We appreciate all of you and all of our advisors who believe in us and taking steps with us even before we could get a solar customer there. We appreciate you and thank you. So I'll turn it back over to you, gentlemen. I'll talk to you later. Good night, everybody. My pleasure.
Thank you, Bobby. We're just so grateful for this. And I took some notes. So I got 3 things from today. We only get to open Australia once, number 1. Number 2, like you said, everyone's going to hear about this on the tennis court, at the barbecue, at the beach. So we're looking for leaders who are willing to give it a go and present this like you've done so well tonight, and just give it a go and get out there and present the information. And yeah, we'll be doing this more and more. So figuring out which night will be the best to do it, evening, Thursday or Sunday. You like Thursdays and Sundays, right, Bobby?
Yeah, look, folks, there's 15 to 20 people on the screen. There's going to be 1,500 people in the event when we launch in Australia. So this is just the beginning. Yeah, any night of the week that works for you. I love Sunday night. In Sunday nights, most people are done with the weekend and they're miserable about going back to work the next day. So Sunday night's a great time to catch people. I love Thursday nights, whatever works for you. It's your country. It's your opportunity. We're not the Americans coming in saying, hey, this is how we're going to do it. We're looking for the entrepreneurs in Australia that are going to tell us the way you want to do it. Use what we've learned and what we've done and marry that to what you want and your culture and your beliefs and your desires.
Brilliant.
Bobby, fantastic. It's just solid, very, very straightforward. And having somebody like you, having somebody like Jonathan and Jim leading the way, and us being part of it is just such a magical thing. And I'm looking forward to another 6-12 months time where we're all here, and as you say, with a bigger audience and just you know, a powerful history that we will have created in that 12-month period. It's going to be awesome.
Guys, you have no idea. We've done this. We've watched this happen. I opened up the state of Florida a couple months ago. We put in several hundred people. We've signed millions of dollars in contracts. Every market we go into, the same thing happens because there's no downside to what we're doing. Again, the solar providers win, the entrepreneurs win, and the customer wins. And that's the perfect world where everyone wins. That's just the way it works. And remember, solar's just the beginning. I'll leave you with this. Remember, renewable energy is the greatest shift of wealth in the history of mankind. It has never happened before. It will never happen again. And I don't know if there's ever been a more important shift of wealth in history. So you got to decide whether you're an entrepreneur or not, And whether you want to get in front of it or not, it's going to happen without you. It's going to happen without me. It is going to happen. It is already happening in Australia. Well over 20% of the population, one of the leading countries in the world, adapting to solar energy. This is a conversation that resonates already in Australia. We don't have to convince people. They get it. We're just going to show them a better way. And we're going to show the entrepreneurs how to cash in on it. That's what we're doing. So I need to go have dinner with my wife. I'm going to sign out, let you guys do your thing. Thank you. Peace. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Very much,
You guys can tidy it up. Bye-bye.
See you.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Anybody that's on the call, if you've got anybody that you've introduced to the call this evening, get back in contact with them and just show them this video. We'll get this posted for you directly and share this around. We've got a fantastic opportunity here. We're literally at the leading edge of this, and we can create some huge history. And I'd love to just show the guys, or all of us would love to show the guys in America what we can do. And I know we can build massively from here. So thank you very much for your Saturday morning. And we'll be in contact. We're looking at